Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Dad.
What's going on? How are you today?
Uh, I'm back to work, which is progress from where we were last time we were here. And so, it feels good to be back to work, but I wasn't used to being awake for 8 hours straight. So the last couple days I've been real tired. So that's what I'm battling with. I'm a lot better than I was, and I'm very happy and thankful for that. That's all I can really ask for is progress.
Right. Well, you got to take steps forward, and at least you're feeling better. That's the main thing.
Absolutely. How are you?
I'm tired. I mean, I know that seems to be a growing theme, but it was we're you don't. There's never enough people at work, so you always got more to do than you can do in an 8-hour day, and staying busy. Uh, it's been really busy. We're getting through projects and starting new ones. So I was when you text me and said you were on your way home, I was still asleep.
That was like 10 minutes ago.
I know. I just gotta.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, I understand. I totally get it. Also, I see Maria's in the chat. She said, "Hi, how are you? How are you doing?" And thanks for stopping by and hanging out with us for a little bit. I am currently tallying up this week's win total from our preseason predictions.
I would. I would say somewhere about the mid season point would probably be your numbers might start looking a little more truer to what you might have thought they would be as of the way it's going right now. You know, since we're going down that road, the first thing I want to bring up, and I know that this might not be the best subject overall, but I never really realized until I started actually counting how wins and losses played out, and was really paying attention to each game. You really learn how much the turnover actually dominates wins and losses.
I mean, from what I experienced yesterday, turnovers are everything. You can't like from looking at a team that loses and they lose because the other team put up 30 points. You can sit and blame the defense for putting up 30 points, but if you take an account for turnovers, they got 4 turnovers in a game. That's 4 more turns that the other team's offense gets. Your defense gets just as tired. If your offense is only out there for 30 seconds every drive, your defense is on there the whole game.
Yeah, I mean, you're coming down to, and then you get into things like tipped balls, and we always talk about guys with butterfingers that seem to fumble the ball a lot. Bad turnovers. There's bad turnovers, and
Which sometimes it's not your fault. You can't help it if that happens. That is a good defensive play. And
yeah, I mean,
that's that. If you go back to week 2, Joe Burrow's 3 consecutive interceptions. If you break down those, only one of them was his fault. One of them was a great defensive play. One of them was a tipped at the line, and the other one was a bad throw. Only one of those was his fault,
take away the other two out of that, and they win
and they
that
won
game.
that game. 100%, they won that game.
Yeah, so
Just
I
like
mean, you're
the whole, and I'm sure this is where you're going with it, but that's why the Chiefs lost against the Chargers.
oh, absolutely. I mean, you can't.
Look, I've been a Chiefs fan since basically the Andy Reid era. I would say. I mean, I would say Alex Smith, but it was about the same time. Andy Reid got there just like a year or two before, and Chiefs fans used to be different before they had this winning mentality. It was like being a Bengals fan. You were fine if they lost because that's what they did, and so I feel like Chiefs fans, I hate them. They're turning into like Pittsburgh Steeler fans, and so like they're so used to winning that when they lose, it's the end of the world. And like these last 2 weeks I'm in so many Facebook groups, whether it be NFL or just Chief fan groups, and they're calling for the defense's head over this game. And I'm like, you can't blame the defense because they threw 2 interceptions and had 2 fumbles.
Well, let's break that down just a little bit further, okay? So when you look at your quarterback, okay, let's just start with Patrick Mahomes. He is very mobile in the pocket. He is able to create on his own. He doesn't necessarily he doesn't need anything else other than him with the ball to create a play. Now, when you've got a quarterback like that, you've got look, I'm gonna throw names in here that don't really matter, but look, just say Lamar from your leg standpoint. There's a high risk, high reward, right? If you can run like Lamar, you're high risk for breaking yourself, and you get a high reward. Patrick Mahomes, on the other hand, can throw the ball very effectively, and so he's very high risk in that sense that he's out and about. The only thing about it is that he has way more upside. What happens is that every now and again, sometimes you're going to get some of these picks every now and again because he's always trying to do everything because that's his mentality. He wants to win. So you're going to have some turnovers with him. It's going to be something that he may grow out of as he lengthens his career. But right now, you're going to score 30 points a game most times. You're going to put up those kind of numbers, but you're going to have a little bit of bad to go with the good, and that's called maturation. So anybody that's out there that's a Chiefs fan that wants to start pointing fingers, you know what? There's no finger pointing to be needed. They know exactly what they got at quarterback. They got a guy that's able to put up as many points as they possibly need. They've just got to work everything else out, and he's going to turn the ball over on occasion. He's not going to be perfect.
There is no perfect NFL player, and no one can change my mind. Like, everyone makes mistakes. And like that's like the thing is no one's coming after Patrick Mahomes for the 2 interceptions, but Clyde has 1 fumble and they're saying that man should never touch a football for the Chiefs again. Like that was I'm speaking of the Baltimore game. I mean, he did fumble yesterday as well 1 time, but that was the man's first fumble of his career. Like out of like 300 rush attempts, he fumbled once. Look at the percentage right there. 1 out of 300. And you don't want him to ever touch a football again? Now, if he did it 2-3 times a game or, every single week, it might become a problem. He needs to learn how to protect the football. But you can't say that. First of all, he's only in year 2. And he had a relatively great rookie season for being on a team that was just learning how to run the ball.
If Clyde Edwards-Helaire was not on that team last year, their postseason trip may not be as good as what it ended up being. They may not win the AFC Championship because they needed somebody electric in the running game to make Patrick Mahomes passing
in the championship game.
Right, I know, but that's what I'm saying.
They didn't have him in the playoffs at all because the Saints were at the end of the season, like week 15 or so. The Saints D lineman split his legs and left him out. He didn't come back till the Super Bowl, and so I mean there were other guys that stepped up, like Darrell Williams, who was on the roster the year before, who sat behind Damian Williams. Other guys stepped up. But Clyde was a huge factor when he was healthy, getting him to that point.
I mean, that's just it. Teams need balance. Everybody needs to perform. You know what? There's going to be days that you're not your best. Somebody else has got to step up and help you out. So, with all that being said, after 3 weeks, nobody expected this to be where they're at right now. But you know what? They're not in a bad place. And with a 17-game season, nobody needs to start pointing fingers and blaming or changing anything.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, look at Tampa Bay. They lost 7 games last year and won the Super Bowl. Like, you can't think your season's over by week 3. I mean, if you're 0-3 and not even showing promise, then maybe.
Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah. They But like you could look look, okay, the 0-3, maybe you're thinking your season's over, but look at these 3-0 teams that think they're gonna go to the Super Bowl. Denver or Oakland or Carolina. Look, Carolina just lost Christian McCaffrey for at least 3 weeks. He was 75% of their offense. If you're gonna play the 0-3, your season's done. Well, you got to look at the 3-0 side and say you can't say I'm going to the Super Bowl. They might lose the next 3 games because he's out.
Hey, look, you can start out 10-0 and fail.
Look at Pittsburgh, 11-0. They are 2-7 since they went 11-0.
Yeah, I don't think anybody needs. The only thing I can tell you out of the first 3 weeks is that
unless you're in the AFC West, the NFC West. Sorry, unless you're in the NFC West, you can lose a couple games and it not affect you that bad. But if you're in the NFC West, Seattle's already messed up.
Joe, Colts will be fine as soon as they realize that Carson Wentz is cancer.
How about we think about the possibility, me and him talked about this at work today, the possibility of a Cam Newton to Indy.
Yeah. I'm just curious how
Carson Wentz, Cam Newton dual quarterback system.
The thing that I just keep seeing is that I watch these Colts games and it looks like 18 Philadelphia Eagles, where they just came off the Super Bowl and Carson Wentz played really good for a whole year. A bad coaching. Oh my God, Joe. I have to disagree there wholeheartedly. They took a geriatric last year and almost made it through, almost pulled some upsets in the playoffs. I think the coaching and the ownership's fine there. I think there's just some, what do you call that? I call it cancer in the locker room. I think Carson Wentz is a cancer for your team.
Yeah, I know Colts fans that are being optimistic, which is fine. You kind of gotta, when you're forced into that situation, think that he could be fine. But look, he's already gotten 2 injuries before making it through week 3. It's hard to build that guy up and get him better if he's not healthy. And that's a big thing for me. I think that's huge.
And I'll play the other side of the coin.
Okay, so what Joe's saying right here, I completely agree with. They have been in situations in the red zone where they should have taken 3 and went for it every time on 4th down. I understand the aggressive play calling, but they could have won 1 or 2 out of the 3 games they played if they would just settle for points. They've got a kicker and they won't use him.
I think they could very easily be on the other side of the spectrum, 3-0. They've had
100%.
But see, now we're back to the other thing. But once you get in a habit of losing, it just kind of happens to
you. It's the snowball effect. That's what happens to the Bengals every year. That's why this year they need to capitalize off of what happened yesterday on Thursday. I know it's a short week, but they have to capitalize on playing a bad team.
Yeah, because, after that, you got Green Bay coming in, and that team's riding really high with the way they're playing. They're not playing the best defense in the world, but they're, you've got Aaron Rodgers that's upset, and he's playing well, and he wants to play well. Now he's got something to prove. Like, maybe he didn't have nothing to prove before. Now he does. So you're going to have to put up points in that game. So, yes, you have got to take advantage, and you cannot let an 0-3 team come in and get its first win at your expense.
All right, I'm just going to scroll through here real quick. We got Steven on the Facebook side. Howdy. We got Peyton in here. How's it going, Peyton? I'm happy you were able to make it. Also, we've got Amanda who just stopped in. What is up? And last but not least, Shelby just popped in. I know she's at work right now, but I'm glad that she can still hang out with us while she's working because I miss her being on here with us.
I know, right?
But I wanted to make sure I went through that before any more chats came in off anything we're talking about, and I didn't want to not acknowledge anybody because I will literally just get distracted. But I do want to talk about that Bengals game. I put it in the title. This is a one much needed win to stay alive in our division because it's very tight knit right now. And two, all of the historic relevance of leading up to this game. Look, I sat here on Thursday and I told you I think the Bengals are going to win this game. And then Saturday night, well, Sunday morning, it was like 3 a.m. I was watching the NFL picks, and out of the 10 experts, all of them picked Pittsburgh. And you know what? I understand anybody who picked Pittsburgh to win because historically we don't do well on the road with Zach Taylor. We've won one game on the road with him out of 16 or something like that.
I don't
And
know. I don't
we're
even count.
0-5 in the last 5 meetings in Pittsburgh. Also, Pittsburgh lost last week. Therefore, this is the first time since 2015 that Pittsburgh has lost 2 games in a row at home, which is it just makes it that much better. But this is the first time since 1995 that the Bengals have beat Pittsburgh by more than 10 points. And this is Joe Burrow's first divisional win. This is all, this is good for him. First divisional meeting of the year, a win. I think this is really what he needed. And I feel like this is a wake-up call with the way they were playing that Zach Taylor needs to not hold back, especially in a divisional game because those are always the most intense. And so I'm a lot happier with the play calling. There's still room for improvement, but Joe Burrow threw a pick. That's okay. Like you said earlier, it happens. Turnovers happen, but they didn't throw 3 interceptions. They didn't fumble. They didn't make huge mistakes constantly. I think.
And the defense made up for that, getting a few turnovers of their own.
Yeah, they got turnovers and they cut their penalties down. They played good football. Our defense is way better than anyone wants to take advantage or acknowledge, I should say. People just say, oh, it's the Cincinnati. They've got a bad defense. That's why they lose games. No, I think they're actually getting better and working together. And at this point, I might buy a Logan Wilson jersey.
Heck yeah. Let's stop for 1 second and just think how much better that defense could have been if Osai had not got hurt in preseason.
Oh, gosh. And Trey Wayne's coming back. He hasn't made his 2021 debut. But Osai would have been, the Myles Garrett of Cincinnati.
The one defender that everybody's picking on right now is Eli Apple. So
I think he's warming up, though. He started off really bad. In the Minnesota game, really bad. He was definitely the weakest link. And then Chicago, that game was a shit show, let's be honest. Both sides of the ball, it was a mess. But there was improvement. There were some penalties on him, but improvement. And then we go into Pittsburgh, and I feel like he looked better. He didn't cause so many problems. And so that's all you can really ask for. If you're the weakest link, as long as you're improving.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait for next year and get Osai back on that line. Hopefully, he heals right and everything, and so he doesn't get re-injured, of course. But, dude, he's going to be the Myles Garrett of the Cincinnati Bengals, that's his potential. That dude's a monster. But I think the most impressive thing about this Pittsburgh win was that they gave up 0 sacks. They broke Pittsburgh's 75-game getting at least 1 sack streak. They didn't hit Joe Burrow and lose yards because of it.
Yeah,
that is key. I
know
TJ Watt's not there, but anybody was able to get through it before.
The one thing about that, bringing that point up is that how much more important is that for preparation for this week on Thursday, right? Your offensive line, your quarterback doesn't get hit. Joe Burrow's not laying in a hot tub this morning, icing down bruises. He had he had a good game where he just got to go out and play. He may be a tad bit sore, but a little bit of practice and he's ready to rock. When you get a short week and you go back on Thursday night in a primetime game, that's really important to not be beat up and hurting from the week before. You know, he's going to be fresh, and if anybody needed to be fresh, it's going to be him.
Yeah, and I mean this is going to be another test. I know it's the Jaguars. I know they're not a good football team, but I feel like this game is really going to be a test because I, I feel like the Bengals are used to playing division rivals on primetime games, and that's why they lose a lot because they get beat a lot by division rivals. But you know, they need to prove themselves in the prime time, and I think this is going to be a big game because they're going to have after this game they're going to have extra rest going into the next one. So if they can
But
come off with a second win, 2 wins in a row, and have a couple extra days off, imagine how that team's going to come out feeling the next time out. And so I think this is kind of what I was talking about week 1 going into week 2. Like I knew deep down Chicago was probably going to win that game, but I was talking about the potential of what would happen if they had won that game. The momentum shift. And so I think this is the same situation, but this is a lot bigger because they're coming off a bigger win against Pittsburgh than it would have been if it were Chicago. And so I feel like this is really big, and I feel like they need this win. It's a bad football team, and it doesn't really prove anything about Cincinnati because they're 0-3 right now, the Jaguars. But for them, this is important. They can't lose this game.
yeah, because if they go out and they play well and win the game on Thursday, then they're going to start to believe in themselves a little bit. Hey, this is a team that, by what it says on paper, what it says by record, we're supposed to beat right now. We are a better team right now than this team. We're supposed to win this game. Now, we know that doesn't always work out and with the football gods. Okay, we got that. But you're right, because then that gives you momentum and it gives you confidence going into the next week, which they've got to have. If they go into that game 2-2 next week, and you know what, I'm going to tell you that I really think Jacksonville is going to be competitive on Thursday night.
I mean, they were competitive against Arizona.
They're
They
going to
really
come out.
choked there at the end, but they had Arizona on their heels for a little bit.
They're
And
going to come
so,
out and play good.
eventually Trevor Lawrence is going to get at least comfortable. If not winning games, he's going to get comfortable being their quarterback.
Well, more and more every week that I see right now that he looks a little bit better after every game that he plays. And that's going to be, you know what? I don't like the guy, but I'm not saying he's not talented. I'm just saying that I felt like he was overrated coming out of the draft of what he was going to be able to do because they acted like he was going to win 14 games this year. All the commentators and everybody felt that, he was that far ahead. I didn't feel he was that far ahead. And that's the reason why I've been down on that whole team.
He can't beat Joe Burrow, Justin Fields, or Mac Jones in college. So I'm not that confident that he's going to win more than 3 games this year.
Yeah, wait, I'm still down there with you. I had them a little higher because I thought that with the coaching that they have there that there might be a few more wins in there, but it's just so hard to tell. I hope they win 3 or 4 games, and I really hope he ends up.
No, they have a chance to beat the Colts right now. What the Colts have to offer.
But I was really stoked on that. I just think that I think Jacksonville is gonna play a pretty good game. As long as we don't make.
I think this is going to be an excellent game. A lot of people are looking at this primetime game thinking it's worthless. Because it's the same people who are saying, this Dallas Cowboys Eagles game tonight is worthless, not worth watching. Like those are going to be the same type of people, unless you're a Bengals or Jags fan.
I think tonight's game's got the potential to be really good.
I think this is going to be a great game, and it's going to be able to show the best side of both teams. And obviously the potential to show the worst. But, you're going to see the Dak Prescott everybody remembers. Like the Dak Prescott that came out to fight the Bucs. And then you get to see Jalen Hurts. I think that Quez Watkins kid is going to have a big game.
Are you ready
Amanda, thanks for that. We do appreciate it. And, if they want to come in and talk some football with us, we love it. That's what we're here for.
And I got to say, minus the teams that we like to talk about, the NFL on Sunday was absolutely outrageous.
This was it was bonkers. Oh, there's Amanda's dad. Thanks for coming in and hanging out with us. We do appreciate it.
You know,
You know, the game I want to talk about, because this is the one thing other than the Bengals win. Because at that point in time when the Bengals won, I wanted to be running in the streets, flying my Bengals flag around, screaming. But after that loss with the Chargers, I just couldn't. I was down in the dumps, and I was coming home from work, and I was like, the only thing that can make me happy right now is to watch Tom Brady lose. And you know what? So that's the game I want to talk about. Oh, well, perfect. She said, my dad hates Brady as much as you do. That's where I want to go right now. I want to say I think the Los Angeles Rams made the Bucks look like a bad football team. It completely exposed that defense. And Tom Brady was their leading rusher in that game with 14 yards.
I think he had more than that.
14.
I thought he had like 35.
Nope, just 14. He was their leading rusher with 14 yards.
I know that last scramble I thought was 14 yards. Maybe, I'm not sure. But anyway, if they can't run the ball.
The point is they completely exposed their defense.
You know,
Matthew Stafford, if they in 15 weeks from now are not talking about him being an MVP, I'll be shocked. Yeah. I think the Rams are, if it comes down to this being a repeat in the championship, unless there's terrible refereeing in this game, the Rams are going to the Super Bowl. And where Shelby said right there, Brady showed how selfish he can really be. He got Gronk hurt. He should have never thrown that ball to him. And then at the end of the game, because he had not thrown a passing touchdown the whole game until the last drive, he put Giovanni Bernard in a situation to also get hurt. And he knows better. He knows how to prevent that. That touchdown, they were losing. They were down by like 17 points. There was no reason to hurt anybody else. That was a very selfish pass. I don't like what he was doing. And I also think it is hilarious that Brady threw the ball 55 times.
I don't want to defend him in any way, shape, or form, because I'm with everybody else. I really don't like him. But at the end of the day, that Rams defense and that Rams offense showed you exactly how to make sure that they don't win games. I mean, come on. He still put up 400 yards passing. He still got
he threw the ball 60 times.
Because he had no opportunity to run the ball. Every time that they tried to run, they destroyed him. So there was no chance, and they were always behind. So when you're always behind, your quarterback's going to put up numbers. He just couldn't get it in the end zone, which I'm not saying that's an age
After
thing.
After coming off 9 touchdowns in 2 games, everyone's talking about how he is the most elite quarterback in the league right now because he's threw 9 touchdowns in 2 games, and he was unable to do that at all.
Yeah, well, but you watched the Rams game. I watched the Rams game and the Colts game. That game was a much better, more competitive game. There's just a lot of chinks in that armor and that defense. And you know what? It wasn't even Sean McVay that showed all of the Tampa Bay weakness. You go back to last year, it was Sean Payton. The way that the Saints played them in the regular season last year, it was the same blueprint.
I mean, the Chiefs in the regular season did the same thing to them. They put up 200 yards with Tyreek Hill in the first quarter.
But the comment, I think Brady played a good game considering what he had. But the comment that I agree with most is that when you're down that bad at the end of the game, don't put your two of your best offensive players in jeopardy like that. That hit to Gronk. He's lucky he doesn't have broken ribs today. And Giovanni Bernard,
I have never seen a guy lay out Gronk like that ever. He's been playing football for a good number of years. I've never seen any defender be able to lay him out like that.
And that's a great way of putting it. It was very selfish. All he can think about is that he doesn't want to lose. And you know what? And that's fine. You can have that.
Not only is that him and what him and Bill Belichick did, but Bruce Arians is, I think Bill Belichick's smarter, but Bruce Arians is a much more aggressive coach. And I think he was pounding it in his head to get his head out of his ass and win this game. Like, I feel like that's exactly what he said to him.
Yeah, this is what we're paying you for. But at the end of the day, if it was me and that was my game and I was down 17 points with 6 minutes to go, I would have pulled my 43-year-old quarterback out of the game and said, hey, nice try. We'll save you for next week because this is a long season.
Yeah, that's what they did to Rodgers in week 1.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of pride there. They want to be the best all season, but I think their weakness has been exposed, and I think
the big question is look, I thought the Chiefs were gonna bounce back in week 3 after getting slapped in the mouth like that. Well, the Rams slapped the Buccaneers twice as hard as Baltimore could have even thought about slapping the Chiefs. How do you think the Buccaneers are gonna respond to this?
I think they go to New England next week, and I think that's going to be a very competitive game.
Yeah, 3 weeks ago, I would have said, this is going to be I would say 4 weeks ago, before week 1, I was gonna say with Mac Jones, this is gonna be an easy win for the Bucs.
You're gonna see, because look, here's the thing. Here's the one thing I've been waiting for out of this whole statement is I want to see how Bill Belichick defends Tom Brady.
I mean, he knows how he plays. It doesn't matter who's coaching him now.
He knows everything about that guy. He designed it. He built
created that monster.
So he knows
that's his child.
So if anybody's going to watch that game, watch and see what defense they play. See what sets they run, how they blitz, because that's going to be from the mind of Bill Belichick.
You got to know they're going to be 100% ready for the screen pass and the checkdowns. Like, you got to know that they're going to be ready for that.
Yeah.
Because that is what he is known for, the screen pass and the checkdowns. He's got a deep ball in him, but that's what he does.
Well, look, here's the thing. Tom Brady is a great read quarterback. He is great at scanning a defense and making a good decision. That's why he stayed quarterback in New England for so long. However, and I'm going to talk to what Steve said here. He's going to take the Bucs over New England. I think they will probably win the game. I think they will win the game just because they've got a lot more overall firepower than what New England has right now on offense. However, I just guarantee you it's going to be way more competitive, and it's going to be a lot tighter than what anybody thinks it's going to be. I can't wait to see what the line is on that game.
No, I think, Mac Jones just took a beating this week against the Saints. And I'm not saying he's not going to take a beating against the Bucs. I'm not going to say that. But the type of player that Mac Jones is I think he's going to respond really well to, he threw his first NFL pick 6 last week or yesterday. He made a lot of mistakes that he's probably sitting in his bedroom or in his backyard running through plays right now. He's probably doing it right now. He's probably studying that Tampa Bay defense, and he's probably figuring out ways to get better, not do that, and beat him. Look, I don't like Mac Jones. I didn't like him in college just because I don't like Alabama quarterbacks because I feel like everything's made perfect for you. Your first year being a quarterback in Alabama, you're going to go to the championship. Like, that's why that's why the NFL is where he's going to earn my respect. But the way I have watched him approach the training camp, the preseason, into the regular season, the interviews he's done, everything, I am gaining respect from the football aspect of this kid. And so I think that he is going to be really smart in this game. I think he's going to make really good decisions comparative to last week. The bad things that happened to him. If his offensive line holds up, I think he's going to make great decisions, and he's going to put up a lot of points against this Bucs defense because we were just shown that it is definitely possible to put up 35 points on them.
Yeah, Amanda says FanDuel's got a 6.5 point favorite. See, because I think it'll be closer than that. I think by the end of the week, it's going to be about a 4 or a 3.5.
I was going to say I'm going to give it a field goal unless, the turnovers, if something bad happens. You
but
know,
it's not.
it's just like the Packers and Lions primetime game we just had last week. If that ball had not been wet and Jared Goff hadn't and slipped out of his hand when he dropped back, that fumble, and then the one other mistake he had, they could have beat the Packers. They should have beat the Ravens. But Justin Tucker's leg is like a monster truck, I guess, and kicked a 66-yard field goal.
You know,
Um,
I think there's a lot of kickers this year that can actually make that kick.
oh
To be
yeah,
fair,
being Cincinnati. Look, that kid probably can make a 70-yard field goal. I would put money on it.
but
But
just talk about that for a quick second. That game there was Detroit has probably the worst luck team so far this year, and especially knowing that they are
and I
not going
don't
to win
even
a lot
think
of
they're the
games.
worst team. I don't like Jared Goff. I didn't like him in Los Angeles. I don't like him in Detroit. I don't care what he could go to the Bengals, and I'm still not gonna like him. Like I don't like him, but he has done well with what he has in Detroit, and he's made good use of it. He has not made that many mistakes. That ball slipping out of his hand. They said it was the ball. They said it was wet there. He just didn't wipe the ball off before the snap. Whatever, things happen. That was not like a Jared Goff. You messed up. You should be fired. It just slipped out of his hands.
Yeah, that just goes to show you. And the other thing that we haven't gotten into today, because that game there should have been another Ravens loss.
It
I'm
should have been a
sure.
huge upset. And I was ready for it. I was really happy. They held Lamar. They held him down for the first half of the game completely. I think it
But
was 3-3 at halftime.
and let's just go back for 1 second. And the one thing that we've been talking about since preseason, because we've had plenty of time to be analytical. We've had plenty of time to go through rosters and look at different teams and different play styles and how everything was coming together for this season. And the one thing that we've not stopped agreeing on the whole time, even up until this point, is that the bottom half of the league has gotten way better, and the top half of the league is not showing that it's completely the top half of the league. So these games are getting a lot closer. This is going to be a great season of football. If you go by what we've had these first 3 weeks, the rest of the season is going to be outstanding. You're going to
I
see.
mean, other than last weekend, especially with the referees, like the whole weekend was horrible to me. Other than that issue and minimal things, every game I've watched has been incredible.
And
Let's talk about the Raiders in Miami. They went to overtime. Miami should never came close to winning that game. They were 14-0 in the first quarter.
the Raiders are the worst 3-0 team out there right now.
Yeah,
By
there's
far.
five 3-0 teams. Well, that's the thing. I think that's up for debate because we haven't seen, the Raiders have beat 3 teams that were in the playoffs last year or won at least 10 games last year. And Denver, as the teams they've beat are collectively 0-9. Not good football teams. So when Denver plays the Raiders already showed they could beat a good team. But if they can keep winning, then that's good. But if Denver plays a really good team and loses, then we'll know if they were really a good 3-0 team or not. It's too soon to tell. It's just like everyone thought Pittsburgh was a good team last year because they were 11-0. They didn't play any good teams within that 11 games other than like 2. And the 2 Ravens games they played, one of them was their like 4th string team. It wasn't even the Ravens,
Yeah, that was the
so
COVID game, wasn't it?
yeah, they beat them and they almost lost that game. Pittsburgh almost lost that game to a 4th string Ravens team. They lost to the practice squad almost. And so Pittsburgh was not good because they were 11-0. They were really bad actually, and now it's coming true and showing because they're 2-7 since then.
Yeah, I still can't figure out the Buffalo game. I mean, you can either
It
blame
was
that
it
on
was the defense. Like if you want to say, the Pittsburgh defense is 11-0 team, then I will say yes. But if you want to say the offense and defense collectively, there's no way. Yeah, the first game they lost was to Washington, who had no quarterback at the time because they went through Dwayne Haskins, Allen or whatever, and Alex Smith all getting hurt. They were just cycling back and forth through all these guys. They had nothing really last year other than their defense, but you know, they they didn't have 2 weeks in a row with the same guy pretty much all season. And so, that said a lot, Pittsburgh coming in and losing to Washington.
Can I ask you about a subject that's really bit my crawl all day today?
Yeah.
So we've been hearing it for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, and a lot of people were, without coming out and just saying it, everybody said that. Well, the coaching staff said that Justin Fields wasn't quite NFL ready yet. Without saying it aloud, making progress, he's doing all the right things. Wasn't NFL ready yet today. So today, every NFL analyst jumped on the same bandwagon. Well, we knew he wasn't NFL ready, even though they were calling for him to play.
Dude, they were begging for it.
And now they're saying it's not his fault. It's Matt Nagy's fault. Matt Nagy threw that game. That is a consensus. They're saying that the play calling is so bad that they're not utilizing his strengths as a quarterback. He's not ready to be a pocket quarterback. They've all changed their tone just a little bit, and if you're not ready, you're not ready.
That's fine. Yeah, you're a rookie. You don't have to be ready.
Matt Nagy said that it's up in the air who plays next week, whether it be Foles, Fields, or Dalton. He doesn't even know who's going to start yet. That indecisiveness looks kind of bad. He should know who he wants to play, or if he's just playing the media game. I don't know.
I don't know why they're keeping Nick Foles around if they weren't going to put him in when Dalton got hurt. Look, see, that's the issue. Is everyone's like, we need you to play Justin Fields or we hate you, like basically. And
I wouldn't do that. I would, especially if I didn't think he was ready. If I'm a coach.
Like, he looked good in preseason, yeah. So that's why all these Chicago fans are calling for their head for not playing him. But it's preseason.
Hey, if I'm a coach and I don't think my guy's ready, I'm not going to play him. I don't care who gives me.
He did this with Patrick Mahomes.
You know what? Here's the thing. Here's 2 words that he should say. Fire me if you don't like what I'm doing. Fire me. Because I think he was doing the exact right thing, and all the grief he's taken over it. And you know what? Now Justin Fields goes into this week's practice. Say he doesn't start this weekend. Say Andy Dalton's ready to go back and play. Justin Fields has taken a chink to the armor in confidence. He got beat up in that game. Myles Garrett whipped his ass.
Yeah, he got sacked 9 times, not counting the hits.
Just think of how bad that would have been if he would have tore an ACL, or if he would have got a broken rib or a concussion. I just think that, Trey Lance is another guy that's in the exact same boat. Great talent, probably the better quarterback in the draft. But hey, guess what? Work these guys in the right way. There's that's still a thing. I mean, I don't care how dynamic you are. If you're not NFL ready, you're not NFL ready, and there's no sense in doing it. You know what? Chicago got their butt kicked. And yes, it looked like they had a very poor game plan because nothing seemed to work because you didn't have somebody to lead the team to do it. What do you think about all that? What do you think happens this week going forward?
Well, I watched the Bengals and Bears game. Justin Fields played the second half, and we both agreed how uncomfortable he looked playing against the Bengals, who I think Cleveland has the edge on defense because of Clowney and Garrett on the line. Like, right then and there, that's where they have their edge on who has the better defense, in my opinion. Because, like I said, the Bengals are proving themselves on defense. But those guys, if we had Joseph Asai, I might put them together. But with what we got, they have a better defense. So we were not nearly as hard on Fields as a full quarters of Myles Garrett in your face. I just think after watching the Bengals and them thinking, okay, well, he did okay against the Bengals. He got some rushing yards. He got some, he got us to get points. I think they took that and ran with it, thinking, Oh, he can start for us. It'll be fine. We don't need to worry about it. I think the reason he did so well against the Bengals is not because he outplayed the Bengals defense in any way. I think it's well, we didn't prepare to play against Justin Fields for half a game. So they weren't used they were fully prepared to play against Andy Dalton 4 quarters. And so that kind of throws your game plan. But then Cleveland had all week, to prepare for
Yeah, because the
Justin Fields.
announcement was made.
The announcement was made almost immediately. They said Justin Fields is our starter unless Andy's healthy, then he's our starter. They never mentioned Nick Foles until today. Today, Nick Foles' name has been brought up for the first time this season. So I think one, they shouldn't have said that the day of the Bengals game that they were going to play Justin Fields the next week. That gives Cleveland an edge. They can, prepare for that, prepare for a mobile quarterback. And two, I think he threw him to the wolves. Yeah, they did because they didn't really give him much. They just said do it. They didn't say do it well. They didn't say do your best. They just said go do it. And he said okay, and he failed. And they didn't go into halftime and make adjustments. They didn't fix anything. They didn't talk about what you did well and what you can do well against it. They didn't. There was that. I feel like that halftime conversation was just 15, 20 minutes, however long it is, of them sitting in silence. Like, I feel like there was nothing even said. They were like, and then they were like, all right, time to go back out. He said, okay, kid, you're still up. And he's like, well, shit, what do I do now? And like, I feel bad for him because that dude's a baller. Like, he's going to be great. And I said this when they drafted him. And I said, if they do right by Justin Fields, he will be an elite quarterback in the league. Right now, they're not doing right by him. They're treating him like he's Mitch Trubisky, and letting him get beat up. And they should have, after the first 5 sacks, they should have been like, all right, Foles, go in. We don't need our quarterback killed. He's right there. He's ready. He's got experience. He's played against Cleveland before. He's played against NFL teams before. He's won a Super Bowl. He is ready. Whether he's practiced with the first team or not, he's more ready. You should never let your rookie quarterback get sacked 9 times in any situation if you've got a veteran on the bench.
There you go. And like last year, watching Joe Burrow play and get beat up until he finally got injured.
That's why I never thought they should have got rid of Gardner Minshew in Jacksonville. They should have let him be the scapegoat until they figured out their offensive line.
Yep. And let's talk about another thing, because we both agree that Chicago has a really good football team. Top to bottom, their offensive lines got some issues, especially at left tackle and left guard. There's some issues on the left side of that line, but all in all, pretty solid top to bottom. But I want to talk about Cleveland.
Oh, and not to mention, before you get too far into that, not to mention, if you go to the defensive side of the ball, Khalil Mack left that game with an injury.
Yeah.
He did not finish that game.
Yeah, but first, but all in all, I want to say something about Stefanski coaching the Browns. He had a game plan, and listen, he took in my mind, he took the ball out of Baker Mayfield's hands. Knew that by watching Joe Mixon play the week before that there was some glitches in that run defense and they could run the ball. Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb, that's 165 yards rushing between the two of them. They knew that they could run the ball and control the clock, control the game. Baker Mayfield only threw 31 passes in that game. He didn't have to go out there and be Superman to win. He could go out there and just not turn the ball over, and they was going to win that game, which in turn, by playing this style of football, which we know is what they're good at, Justin Fields, he only had 20 pass attempts. They couldn't run the ball. They just got beat down. They played that game. Cleveland played an absolutely brilliant game. And going forward, I think Stefanski's turning into one of the better coaches in the league.
I mean, I agreed last year after what they were able to accomplish as a first-year coach with all of that team, switching up that whole team. Like, that was the same people, but the new system. And that's why I had a lot of confidence before looking at, their schedules. I had a lot of confidence in the Browns taking that division, easily. Um, Once going through the schedule, of course, I realized how hard these schedules are, and there's a lot of things that happen that people lose games they shouldn't, and things like that to consider. Uh, you know, I think everything about this Browns team is good because they're in year two. Baker's never had the same system twice, 2 years in a row. He's never had a good coach twice. He's never had a good coach once, let alone have him for 2 years, until now. They have the most upside in this division right now, as long as they can get ahead. I feel like it's going to become a thing, and the better they get, that they're going to figure out that if they don't get a lead, they can't win games. Like it's going to be a Baltimore thing, Lamar's MVP season. They won every game that they scored first. And I think until, everything levels out, while they're still on the rise, they're going to win a lot of football games as long as they get ahead, get a lead to be able to control the ball and to control the clock. You can't really control the clock if you don't have the lead. You got to push the ball at that point. So, I think this year might be a good run for them, like a really solid run for them. And then next year, I think they're going to win a lot of football games. This is pending trades, injuries, everything. But it's going to be the situation like, well, people know how to beat them now.
Yeah,
So they need to run with this one as long as they can because they have a good system that is growing more with this team every day. The coaching, the players, everything, it's growing, it's getting better every day. You need to keep going and never stop trying to get better or you're going to start losing.
yeah, you always have to evolve your game plan and change based on who you're playing that week. But you know what? And Stefanski still is a first time head coach, but he is doing all the right things. I just, gosh, I hate to say it because I am not a Cleveland Browns fan at all. I never have been. But I think that they have the chance to be good for years to come based on the type of system and the culture that they've set in Cleveland finally Cleveland has a winning culture, and I think that as long as Baker Mayfield doesn't melt down, which he has the potential to do, they're going to win a lot of games this year.
I mean, it's his emotions. Like that's what has to stay in check for their team to stay in check. Their defense are still going to be dogs. Like that is just a fact, As long as they can keep their key pieces and keep building around those key pieces and making sure they've got a little bit of depth in case of injury, that defense is going to remain, just a team full of dogs. It's
And I
the offensive side. You got to make sure that Baker Mayfield goes into every game with the right mindset and not let a mistake control his brain. One mistake and he could turn the ball over 4 more times.
and I say all of that, and then I go into the next statement thinking that there's a very high potential that they might lose next week.
Who they got?
Minnesota.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, Amanda said the Browns Vikings game is a Vikings -2. Look, I didn't think. Okay, we talked about this Thursday, the Minnesota Vikings and the Seattle Seahawks game. I told you I thought the Seahawks were going to win, but this game was crucial for the Minnesota Vikings. I think the Vikings were the best 0-2 team in the league. Look, I don't have them very high in the rankings. But that doesn't mean they're not a good team. Like, they have all the right things. Dalvin Cook didn't even play, and they kicked ass against Seattle. They're a good football team. They have one of the harder schedules as well. That's why I have them winning a very small number of games. But, they can do what Cleveland can do. They can control the ball on the ground because that is the same way they play. But
Same
they
type
got
of team.
Thielen, Jefferson. They even have the tight end they're using right now. That's not Kyle Rudolph. He's good. They've got guys. They've got Dalvin Cook can catch the ball. Like I think, I think this is going to be a good game. That's what I think. I feel like Minnesota has a really good defense that is very underrated. They got they have Harrison Smith or whatever his name is, and then they got that Kendricks guy on the other side. And they're an actual threat. They are very good, and they showed that against Cincinnati, which is the only full game that Minnesota's played I've watched so far. But they showed that really, and they had Arizona. They just missed a field goal. They had them, and then they had Cincinnati until they fumbled that ball. They could easily be a 3-0 team right now. And
Yeah,
so I feel like them being 1-2, that if the Cleveland wants to win that game, they gotta pretend like they don't know what their record is. They gotta pretend like they're the best team in the league and they're gonna have to go after them. They gotta pretend like they're fighting the Super Bowl champions.
that's how it's going to be. We're going to talk like this all season because there's there's a lot of good teams that just need one or two pieces or a break.
I mean,
Or a little.
I feel like Detroit only needs one or two pieces. I mean, they got a total stud in TJ Hawkinson. That kid is Travis Kelce, man. Like, that kid is a stud. That is Tom Brady to Gronk. You know, George Kittle. That I love TJ Hawkinson so much. And I say it all the time. I don't say it enough because I don't like talking about the Lions because the Lions will be the Lions. But at this point in time, you know, they had the Ravens. By halftime they had the Packers. It was just two small mistakes which lost them that game because the Packers defense is not good. And
No,
so they go to Chicago or Chicago comes there this week, and I'm not going to be surprised if the Lions win this game.
you and that's the beauty. That's the thing that's going on in this NFL this year. I think there's a lot of teams. I think there's teams that are really good, and I think there's teams that are really bad. But I
I think
think
the
the
only
middle.
teams that right now I can sit down and say are really bad, and no offense to Amanda, but I'm not even going to list the Giants because I feel like she thinks I'm going to go there because they're 0-3. I'm not going to say the Giants. I don't think they're really bad. But the Jets, the Jaguars, and the Falcons, that is the three teams I'm going to say that are really bad. Look, the Falcons came out and beat the Giants yesterday. I called that upset. Um, like you and I talked about, Matt Ryan was going to have a lot to do with this game, defense or no defense. He was going to have a lot to do with this game, and he did, and they won this game. But the Falcons are going to win more than probably 3 games in the division they're in right now. It would be nice if they could go beat Tampa Bay 1 game, but we already saw what that looks like, and it's not going to happen. But the Jets, they are truly a work in progress. Zach Wilson's got an arm. Zach Wilson has talent. Zach Wilson does not have enough of an offensive line when they lost that guy week 1 or 2, the Becton. They lost him, and that was probably the only thing that might consider keeping Zach Wilson alive. And he's got some of his wide receivers out right now. They drafted really smart. They're going to finish probably in last or second to last place, and hopefully they utilize that to draft really smart again. If they can draft really smart 2 years in a row, I think they're going to be competitive the year to follow if Robert Saleh stays there and keeps building with them. Obviously, he's a defensive coordinator. He knows how to run and build a defense. He's going to make it happen. They just got a couple extra draft picks from the Panthers today. They sent a cornerback over for 2 draft picks. So, they're already drafting smart this year, and they haven't even made it to the draft. Look, they got to scrape by this season. They might not win a single game. But I think they are the best and the worst team in the league. They're the best for the future. Because all these teams that are settled, Cleveland Browns, the Chiefs, right now. Tampa Bay right now, they're settled, but in 3 years, a lot of contracts are going to be up. A lot of people are probably going to leave, and then they're going to have to start rebuilding to fill those holes. But the Jets are set right now for the future, and they just have to keep building on that. So I see a lot of promise in the future. Not right now, because as long as he doesn't get an ACL or season-ending injury, they can keep him healthy enough to outlast Week 18 and get through it. They're going to come back next year and be a better football team. But the Falcons, they're bad. Like I think the Jets almost are a better football team than the Falcons right now, other than Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan is the difference maker.
Don't you think that Matt Ryan could just use a change of scenery?
Yeah, I think 100%. Send him anywhere but Detroit or the Jets, anywhere but those two teams. Give him some life somewhere, like Matthew
I,
Stafford. That's all he needed.
I would love, 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 love to see them work out an in season trade and send Matt Ryan to the Redskins or the Washington football team.
This is what my thinking is. Rodgers is leaving Green Bay. I want to see Matt Ryan go to Green Bay and then win in the championship and go to the Super Bowl. Like, I want to see that. That would be awesome.
What's up,
I,
Jeff?
yeah, Amanda, they've already lost once to the Bucks, but they do got one more chance, but it is in Tampa Bay. So it would be the best upset of the year. If Atlanta comes home with a win over Tom Brady. Look, we don't know. For all we know, they could fall apart next week. Look, their game. This is the one game they've been thinking about all year because of Tom Brady against Bill Belichick. But this also after what happened to them. We don't know Gronk's status. We don't know Giovanni Bernard's status. They both got really banged up right at the end of that game. So, take those guys away. What if Antonio Brown doesn't come back healthy? Ronald Jones is not producing much for them, so that leaves Leonard Fournette in the run game. He got completely stopped. Let's not take away from the fact that New England does have a good defense, just no one's talking about it right now because they're missing key pieces. But I think this could be a meltdown game. If Antonio Brown doesn't clear his COVID test, they lose him. That's what took away the deep ball against the Rams. I know they had Jalen Ramsey and the other guy out there, but he throws the deep ball to Antonio Brown almost every game since he's been on that team. They took that away. He was gone with COVID. If Gronk can't be all reliable because he broke something, well, then they take the short pass game away from him. If Giovanni Bernard can't play because Tom Brady got him hurt, well, that's going to hurt your third down back plays.
And your check down, and because he plays a lot of long. I mean, he played a lot of downs in that game, but he's in there for the second long and third down, so he's in there for most of the plays.
That's what I'm saying. Look, we don't know the status of these guys, and I don't want to see any of those guys get hurt. But Tom Brady put them in a position to get hurt, and we don't know how many of them are going to play. We don't know if Antonio Brown's going to be back. We don't know what's going to happen. So we don't know how many pieces they're going to be missing going into this game. They're coming off a loss after getting their ego busted. Literally, they thought they were the baddest in the world, and they got embarrassed by Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford. So they're going to want a revenge game because it's Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. They're going to want a revenge game because they just got bent over and their butt spanked, But that doesn't mean it's going to happen. I said the same thing about the Chiefs. I said the Chiefs were going to go in, whoever they played next, which was the Chargers, and I hate that it was a divisional opponent, and they were going to go clean house because that's how they respond to losing. The same thing can happen to you, the Bucks. They could get beat in the last minute of a game.
Yeah, I really expected Rob to be in here today because
Rob was not going to come in here today.
No, for nothing else than he beat the probably the best fantasy team in the league yesterday.
No, his ego is hurting right now.
Oh, come on. Take your wins where you get them. If you win at fantasy, it's a good day.
My Chiefs lost 2 weeks in a row, but Patrick Mahomes won me in fantasy. He still won for me. I beat Colin, and I can't wait to talk to him about that.
See,
I'm taking my wins. I won in both of my fantasy leagues because at this point, Colin can't beat me with today's game, and he's got 2 players, and the guy I'm playing in my other league can't beat me with 2 players today either. And I won by a lot, and I was distraught about the Chiefs, but between the Bengals, the Steelers, and my fantasy team, I am actually up really high.
yeah,
Um,
and then speaking of that just a little bit, I was so scared for my team this weekend because I had to put Dalvin Cook on the bench and I had to put DeAndre Hopkins on the bench. And I didn't really want to bench those 2 guys against Shelby's team because Shelby's got a very high potential roster. I was nervous and I was scared and I was lucky and happy to still win after having to put those guys on the bench.
Also, Jeff, this has been probably the most intense football conversation we've ever had on the stream. So I'm not ignoring you. Thank you for stopping by, and I'm always happy to have you here. Your Brewers clinched the division, and you know what? At this point, I hope the Brewers beat the Dodgers, and I hope the Brewers beat the Giants because I would rather it be them than anybody else. I'm not gonna sit and talk baseball, but I'm just letting you know I'm so tired of the Reds at the very moment, except for what they did today and the Grand Slam the other day. Uh, but I'm happy for your team, and I hope they go to the World Series and do some damage because they have all the potential. But yeah, so I mean, Rob's not going to show up. I'm going to be lucky if we see him on Thursday. And if I have a feeling by Thursday he's not going to come to our chat, I'm going to harass him in your chat because I know
Or
he'll be there.
yeah, or catch him on Sunday morning in his live and call him out.
I meant to get on there this morning, but I was at work. I got the notification and I said, "Oh, here we go." And then I got distracted because I had full intentions of hopping in. And I wasn't going to be mean. I was just going to say the facts. Their defense got exposed by Dallas and Los Angeles. And Tom Brady's a little crybaby who got half of his team hurt because he's a crybaby and didn't want to lose. That's basically what I was gonna say. I wasn't gonna be any more mean than that. I was just gonna leave it at that. And then I was gonna listen to his but yeah, but listen here, we had this guy hurt. That's what he was gonna start with. Jason Pierre-Paul did not play. Well, that doesn't affect Tom Brady.
Yeah, you still got to put up points, and you still got to, that's something else. Comeback quarterbacks are guys that can always throw the ball, and throw it well. But that's where, in that game there, Peyton Manning would have made a run at the Rams in that game with his arm.
Dude, Peyton Manning is the elite comeback player.
I mean,
Patrick Mahomes is trying to be, but Peyton Manning is top dog and best comeback wins ever.
But yeah, it's all well and good. I'm really kind of jacked up.
Oh my freaking god! Look who's here.
Well, I mean, at least one of the little, for lack of a better term, Brady bitches showed up.
Yeah, he's only here because he knows he's got. You're all rooting for the Bucks and Brady. So who are you gonna cry for when they lose next week? Are you gonna cry for the Bucks or are you gonna cry for the Patriots?
Here's the thing: he can't lose, right? He can come in here and say, "Oh, the Patriots, yay!" Or he can say, "Tom Brady rules."
He said, "Yeah, he's gonna come in here right now and say, "Oh, Tom Brady rules." But if the Patriots win, he's gonna come in here and be like, "Yeah, the Patriots are the best." Now, Tom Brady got exposed too. He really got exposed to how selfish of a player he can truly be. He cared more about how he looked. He wanted that extra passing touchdown, so he could have the most in the league. He wanted that stat. He wants to be the best, and all he did was get his team hurt. when he should have just accepted a loss because everybody loses sometimes.
Yeah, and that's the
Even
thing.
Brady.
At the end of the day, we can't sit and make a whole lot of any one game this whole season. Teams are not going to play well all the time, and it
No,
goes for
not especially with
everybody.
an extra game this year. It's gonna be rough.
So, at the end of the day, at the end of the season, this week may not mean a whole hell of a lot, but
No, this game means a lot because we might be seeing this game in January again. And at this point, it's probably going to be in Los Angeles again to face that crowd again.
dude, that crowd was amazing.
That
You
was
know,
that was
Los,
just like the Monday night football game with the Raiders and the Baltimore.
God, I was just going there.
Those
Los
two
Angeles
stadiums
and
are
Las
beautiful
Vegas.
and loud. Dude, packed stadium there. I couldn't imagine being in those seats because it's not an outdoor. It's indoor, so that sound is trapped.
Dude, I was getting ready to say that those two stadiums are rocking this year.
Oh yeah, they're
Absolutely,
making tons of money. You already know.
dude. Absolutely, I was pretty. I'm that's too that that's the best extra player on any team this year. How loud can your fans be? How hard can your fans be on the opposing team? I've seen teams, because nobody played with fans last year. Really, I've seen a lot of false starts.
Minnesota
Consecutively.
week one.
Yeah, the the
That
the noise.
Bengals crowd was crazy week one.
Yeah, so I mean, the fans are what's as another thing. Playing in Cleveland sucks.
Dude,
Playing in
they are full house.
you
Every
know
time it shows a crowd yesterday, I was like, because I didn't watch all of it. I just kept jumping in when the Bengals game was on commercial or whatever. And I was like, dang, that place is packed like sardines, man. But
I'm
Cleveland
real,
Brown fans, I've always said this. I have so much respect for them because they're probably the most loyal fan base in the history of football. Um,
I'm with you, Amanda.
as of right now, my only actual football game planned, and that's because I'm trying to save money, is January 2nd, Chiefs and Bengals. I mean, that's like the dream game for me. There's where I don't lose. It might have after the way this season has started for both teams. This this matchup could be a serious matchup. In the back of my mind when I was doing our schedules, I had the Chiefs winning 15-2. I was just like kind of upset buying those tickets because I was like, I don't want to watch the Chiefs backups play the Bengals. But the way the Bengals are playing, and the ground that the Chiefs are gonna have to start making up, this could be a serious, playoff decision game. This could be the game that decides if the Bengals make the playoffs. Because right now, based on all of my picks, in game picks, matched up with what I have so far, the only real huge difference is Cincinnati and Indianapolis switching spots, with Indy making the seventh playoff team, and Cincinnati taking that spot. Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna make any trips to Kansas City this year unless it's a playoff game because that drive is so horrible. And I usually have to. I use so much PTO being sick this week that I won't be able to take off. It'll be like last year. I went to Kansas City, watched a football game, and was back home in under 24 hours. And that was so rough on my body because I worked the night before, so did Shelby. And we had to work the next day. And I don't know if I can do it again. But the Kansas City comes to Tennessee, and the tickets are so freaking expensive. And so that was the trip I was gonna try to make.
The only thing, um, I want to say one thing about the Denver game because it was an absolute joke, but Denver's defense is
Denver's
pretty
defense
elite.
is no joke. I
But
have them. I've been benching the Colts and the Buccaneers. I went and dropped a player because I didn't want to give those two defenses to anybody. just in case. I didn't want to give them away because I don't want to lose because of I gave someone my defense. So I am holding 2 roster spots to keep those defenses on my roster, but I cut a key player to go get Denver's defense, and that's the only defense I've played this year.
I'm in the same boat. I cut a player to get another defense, and I picked up Carolina because I think they're the best defense in the league.
I mean, they are. They're ranked number 1 right now, and I don't. After tonight's game, the rankings will come out for this week to see how that's affected. But I mean, they didn't really. If Tyrod Taylor had played, they might not still be the number 1 defense. But since they had to play a rookie who couldn't do anything in the first half, I would say they're still probably pretty close to number 1.
So the only thing that really in my brain that we have left to discuss today, I wanted to say that I thought Denver's defense was playing elite football. Is I want you to go through and I want you to preview tonight's football game, and I want you to let me know how you feel about Dallas being a 4-point favorite at home tonight.
Well, look, Dallas is America's team, so
America, yeah, got it.
What's up, Jellica Anna? Hey, thanks for stopping by. Any divisional opponent, in my opinion, they are going to be favored to win, whether that be 1 or 10. Even if I think the other opponent is better. But when playing in their own division, I think every game this year, all 6 of them or whatever, they're going to be favored to win. And I think that's just going to be how it is. Based on rosters and everything, technically, Dallas has the best on offense. I don't agree. I think the wide receiver core in Washington is elite. I think the wide receiver core is close to elite in New York. If you add Kyle Rudolph and you add Saquon in the pass game at all, I can consider them up there with Sterling Shepard, who is injured right now, Kenny Golladay, uh, Tate. Is Golden Tate still there?
I don't know. I haven't seen his name.
I mean, Golden Tate is, like Auden Tate. They're both not really a huge factor, but they should be. And that was the one thing I liked about T. Higgins not playing was we did get to see Auden Tate. And I feel like that guy needs to be utilized more because he's really good.
He's a big wideout.
But this Quez Watkins kid for the Eagles with Devontae Smith also with the Eagles. Zach Ertz just came back from injury or COVID or whatever he was out for. He's back now. They've got that other tight end, that Goddard kid. They've got a lot of options. Plus, Jalen Hurts can hurt you on the ground as well. He's a mobile quarterback. He reminds me so much of Deshaun Watson, honestly. Like, in their play style, in their skill. And I feel like if he can keep growing, he can be just as good, if not better, than Deshaun Watson. I think this is not going to be a 4-point game. I think this is going to be a 3 or less point game. Like I said, unless there's mistakes, because mistakes, create separation and it's hard to come back. But I think it's going to be a shootout. I think this is the game that Tony Pollard is going to prove that he should be the starter over Zeke. He's going to get a lot of balls thrown to him. He's going to run the ball a lot. There's going to be a lot of RPO type plays utilizing Tony Pollard. I think, man, I just like him so much. I hate the Cowboys. I really do. I mean, I'm impressed by Dak's talent, but I really like Tony Pollard, and I hate Zeke so much. Golden Tate was cut. Okay, yeah, see, I couldn't remember. But they also got, what's his name, from the Bengals, John Ross. I don't know if he made the 53-man, but that's where he was. But, I just think this is going to be an air raid game. Look, Jalen Hurts knows that their defense is hurt. Everyone in the world knows where the soft spots on Dallas's defense are. And I think despite who their coach is, because I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
McCarthy?
I think, what is it?
Dallas McCarthy?
No.
Philly.
Philly.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just gone right now. But I think that they're going to attack those weak spots in that defense. Like they're going to continuously attack it, and until they prove that they can stop whatever it is, whether it be just trying to exploit where they're weakest, and they're going to go after it repeatedly until they can't do it anymore. Um, I don't know so much about the Eagles' run game other than Hurts. I know they got Miles Sanders. I think he'll be a factor, but I don't think he's going to be the deciding factor if the Eagles can win this game or not. I don't think the ground game, like if Dallas can run the ball as much as they throw the ball, they can win this game because that is, statistically, since Dak's been there, the games that they've ran as many times as they've passed the ball, they have won. If it just comes down to who can pass the ball further, it's going to, either team can win. I think this is gonna be a close game. I'd like to see a Philly upset. Just because I don't want the Cowboys to win because I hate hearing what Cowboys like. It's like the Steelers when they win, it could beat the worst team in the league, and all of a sudden they don't shut up. Like I don't care about the Dallas Cowboys, so I can honestly say I want them to lose, and I want Dak to succeed. I want him to still be able to throw 400 yards with no interceptions and, get 50 rushing yards and maybe a rushing touchdown or something. I want him to be able to throw 4 TDs and, still not win. I want him to be able to be considered an MVP and only win 4 games this
You,
season.
you want to see the same thing you saw on opening week. That's what you want to see out of this game.
Yeah, except for opening week, I wanted him to win. That was the one time.
Go ahead and give me your prediction in the game, and then I'll give you all my stuff on it.
I'm gonna go 35-34.
Damn. So that's pretty good. First, let me address Shelby. You got Miles Sanders tonight, but I got CeeDee Lamb. I'm
Talk
winning that
about a
battle.
speedster, man.
I got CeeDee Lamb. I'm good to go. I don't think you need 30-some points, but I hope Miles Sanders puts up numbers because I do like him.
I also like Miles Sanders. What I was gonna say to Amanda that there is another Giants game that is significantly closer than Kansas City. They are going to be in Chicago. I don't know if you looked at that because you said you really wanted to go to, and I know you would prefer it be a Giants game over another. Chicago is a much better drive.
I wanted to give you some interesting team statistics between these two teams tonight, and tell me how you feel about this.
All right, shoot me with them.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and give you my prediction. I think Dallas wins the game. I think it's 24-21. I think it's going to be a well played game, and it's not going to be a shit show. That being said, here's some statistics that I wanted you to hear, and the first one, let me get to the second one with it because it plays a part. If you go to rushing yards per game, Philadelphia is third in the NFL with 162 yards per game.
Wait, start over. I didn't catch the team.
Philadelphia is third in the NFL at 162 yards per game. They're ranked, and Dallas is ranked fifth in the NFL at 129.
Are we talking about rushing or passing?
Rushing.
Okay.
Yeah. However, they are the two teams in the NFL that they're absolutely the worst of time of possession. But they have two of the best running offenses.
Okay, so I was about to tell you. I was gonna talk sports betting for a second. I'm gonna give you a number, and I want you to tell me if you're gonna take the over or the under.
Okay.
6.5 turnovers collectively, both teams.
Under.
I'm going to take the over, and because of what you just said, the time of possession is low. It's due to a lot of mistakes. In this game specifically tonight, there's going to be, this division is so ugly to play against each other. It doesn't matter which of the 4 teams are playing each other. It is always ugly. That is why they have these primetime games. Amanda said it's because it's always crazy, and I agree 100%. They're good games. But they're messy. And I'm gonna take the 6 or 6.5 because I feel like they're going to be coming for each other's throats because every divisional game in the NFC East is almost like playing for a Super Bowl. You don't get the playoffs. Whoever wins the most divisional games makes the playoffs because this division is so weak compared to everywhere else. It doesn't come down to number of wins. It comes down to number of divisional wins.
What's your next one? You got any more? Because I was going to go through a few more things and the reason why I think Dallas wins tonight.
All right, go ahead. I just wanted to throw that in there because you were talking about the time of possession thing.
But high rushing yards but low time of possession. That's a really strange thing because they're ranked so high on the rushing game. Another thing that I'll combat your turnovers with is the fact that neither team gets to the quarterback very well. Dallas is the worst in the NFL at sacks. Philadelphia is just right behind them.
Yeah, but they're playing against each other.
Yeah, I know. Basically, since they don't get to the quarterback, I think Dak is going to have a good game. I think Dak is going to have 300 yards passing. I would take the over on that.
I would probably take the 300 yards for Dak, and I will take the 300 combined rushing and passing for Hurts.
Oh, that's really close. I think this is going to be a better played football game than you do. I think it's going to be a little tighter. I think they're going to be cognizant of errors.
I want it to be a better football game than that, but I just know how messy it gets.
Man, I can't wait till Thursday because I think that Thursday night we're going to have so much to talk about because we'll have this game to discuss. I mean, you think it's going to be a higher scoring, and man, and it could go there. I mean, it could be this one is so tough. I'm hoping for that. And then Thursday night, we're going to be able to discuss the end of the Bengals game. And hopefully we're in a good mood after that game. But, dude, I'm so excited for the rest of this football season.
Dude, it's been excellent. I haven't watched a game I didn't enjoy watching. Didn't matter what the team was. I got the Chicago Bengals game I turned off. And then all of a sudden is when they scored those 2 touchdowns in like 2 minutes, and I just missed it because I was so upset that I turned the Steelers and Raiders game on willingly. Like I was like, I want to watch this game because it's not going to make me as mad. And I had a good time watching that game too. But I hate the Raiders, man, and they're my number 1 divisional opponent that I like the least in the AFC West. That's the way it goes. If you're a Chiefs fan, you hate one of the 3 teams a lot. And I don't hate Denver because Peyton went to Denver, man. Like, I can't hate Denver because of that. And, Herbert, I can't hate Herbert. So that means I can't hate the Chargers because I love Austin Eckler. I love Justin Herbert. I love Keenan Allen. I love that triple threat. But I hate the Raiders. Like, I just do. But it has made me feel so good watching them beat up on these AFC North teams. Like, it makes everything that I said negative about the AFC North teams true. I mean, they shut them down. Like, it was a hard-fought game for both teams, but they really shut them down. They didn't do what they wanted. They were not in their comfort zone playing those games. Lamar, he fumbled the ball 3 times, He was not in his comfort zone. He was not comfortable. He was panicking. Ben Roethlisberger, he was panicking. He was throwing the ball so much, He was not comfortable. And I loved, that's what I said was going to happen. I said, people were going to come after Lamar. People were going to slow him down and make him do things he didn't want to do. And I just said Ben Roethlisberger was going to be bad. It's true. Hey, what's up, Peyton? But, it just makes me feel good. Now I can't wait until what week is it? Where is it? It's right here. Week 15 when the Raiders play the Browns. I want to see how the Raiders approach the Browns after how they approached the Steelers and the Ravens. Look, I'm pretty sure they got to play the Bengals too, but I'm more interested in that game and seeing how they approach it after what they've done. Because the Browns and the Ravens are so much of alike. That people don't know that. People don't notice that because Baker throws a little more accurately than Lamar does. Because Baker has to throw more often. Lamar just refuses to throw. Like I literally watched him in that Monday Night Football game against the Raiders. Like he would look down the field and pump fake it a little bit because he didn't want to do it. He didn't want to. He just wanted to keep it on the ground. He wanted people to think he was going to throw it so he could run it so he didn't have to throw it. And then it ended up with 3 fumbles. Like I don't know. Like I want to see how they approach the Browns because I think they're neck and neck of being the same team.
Can't wait to watch the game tonight. I'm ready to go.
I'm a little fired up for it. I'm really tired though. That's
I
my
know.
problem. Is
I'm
I'm
right
going to
there.
try to stay awake. I didn't get to finish the Green Bay game last night, and I was kind of upset about that because it was a pretty good game, honestly.
That was an excellent finish to that game. However, I criticize prevent defense. I really don't like it when you're
I
trying
hate
to
it,
stop a field
and I
goal.
only hate it because I watched it hurt the Bengals so many times.
I mean, if they would have just man covered Devontae Adams at the end of that game, they wouldn't have lost. If San Francisco would have played man to man or not, or maybe like a one deep zone and not something, not this very soft zone that they played, there wouldn't have been 50 yards of up the middle catches for Aaron Rodgers to just thread the needle and win the game. But I don't know why teams. I think they're scared to give up the big ball. But if you're playing against a field goal with kickers kicking the ball over 50 yards consistently, you got to play. You got to play just like you did the whole rest of the game.
I agree, 100%. Like I don't know, it's just it's just hard. I think it was a good game. I watched most of the first half.
It's a
The
great game.
only flaw I saw in San Francisco was the pick that he gave up in the first half. It was a really bad throw. I don't really know what he was trying to accomplish, but that was a wide open look for that Green Bay Packer to intercept. But that was like the only like actual flaw I saw within either team, honestly, in the first half. Like I said, I fell asleep right before halftime, and so um, I think there's a lot of room to grow with both of those teams. Green Bay's got to work on their defense a little bit, and I don't think that the 49ers need to necessarily work on their defense. I think they still have an elite defense. I think they need to just keep doing what they're doing and you just make a little bit better decisions.
You know what my two favorite things about the 49ers are?
Nick Bosa.
No. Well, actually, I like Nick Bosa, but I'm a huge George Kittle fan. I
I
think
mean,
he's.
that was my number 2. I freaking love tight ends.
But I like the fact that they play a two running backfield with the fullback, and Juszczyk is such a
I like
stud.
Juszczyk too.
He is such a stud. Did you see him barrel into the end zone for that touchdown at the end of the game?
I saw
Rubbed right
highlights.
rubbed right off of Kittle, and he catches the ball. He does all the things right, and most teams don't have a fullback on the roster. Generally, they use a tight end in a fullback situation. But
Yeah,
for
the
San
Chiefs have a
Francisco to
fullback, and I love it.
it is a great set to have. Especially with third and fourth and one, if you're going to run, you're going to do a run play off of center to have a fullback there to either take the quick handoff or block.
Or
Dude,
take
that's
the direct snap, dude. I don't know why people don't do that more often. Look, I know they're gonna see it coming, but it gives the guy that's getting the ball inevitably an extra 2 steps before the defense gets to your line. Because when they do a handoff, the guy's behind the quarterback, and so he's got to run into him anyway. If he takes a direct snap, it's going to be just like a quarterback sneak. It's the same. It's the same play. Just one of them's running and one of them's sneaking, and it's the same thing.
so. And I know we're getting kind of close to the end here because I need to run shortly. But I got my two games this week that I bet on. I did well. I didn't bet as much on the Bengals as I did on the Panthers, but I won both of my bets this weekend. I'm just letting everybody. I'm going to go again today and put one up there since the spread is 4. I got. I'm taking Philadelphia in the points. I think it's going to be a field goal game.
I just want you to know that I put in a 9-leg parlay, all on the money line for each team, and I got 8 of them.
Damn.
Yeah,
But I
you already
did.
know where this is going. I'm never, ever again putting money on the Chiefs, ever.
Yeah.
The
I
one team that prevented me from a lot of money was the Chiefs.
man. Well, I
And
mean, you know what?
Shelby put a 10 leg in, and the only one that really lost for her, well, the Chiefs too, but really, it was down to only one. She only was going to lose by the Lions. She had the Lions, dude. That made her parlay worth 3 times as much as mine. And the
Yeah, I
Lions
didn't.
had them. They had the Ravens. That makes the Ravens look so bad.
Yeah, I didn't bet much on this game tonight
I
just
mean, I only put
because.
$5 bets in, but I knew I was making my money back.
Yeah, I didn't bet much on this one tonight just because I felt like this one
Now,
could go either way. But I did want to get a bet in on Monday Night Football. But I still think the Eagles are going to lose by about 3. I'm going to stick to that. It's going to be in the mid-20s.
I'm taking
But
the Eagles by 1, but
uh,
to cover the 4.5-point spread, yeah, I got the Eagles for that. They're not going to lose by 4.5 or 5 points if they do lose.
yeah, when I bet it, I got it at 4, so it must have went up a little bit. Long
Yeah.
story short, I'm
Long
ready. I
story
have.
short, I'm taking the Eagles on the points, and I'm taking the Eagles for the money line.
Uh, if you
I'm
was
not
to,
actually putting bets in, but I'm telling you what I would if I were putting bets in.
yeah, that's the only thing I'm betting today because I made my money off of Carolina for the most part this weekend.
I did not make any money this weekend because then I went and made one parlay of which I considered a safe bet. You know, I had Cincinnati in my other two, but I put Pittsburgh in one because you know that it was still a chance they were going to win that game. And so I did one just in case. And that one just got shredded to pieces. There were more upsets than not.
But I need to go to the store. I got some things
Who
to
said
pick
I
up.
don't want to talk about bets, dude? It was just the Lions. Justin Tucker ripped her off $6,600. Justin Tucker killed her.
Oh,
A $5 bet, 6,600, and Justin Tucker with his monster truck leg and that goalpost stole from her. F's in the chat.
I I'm sorry, baby. That makes me feel bad for you, Shelby.
10-leg parlay. She hit too. She had it.
God.
I'm upset because the Chiefs lost mine. I should have known better than to put them in it, but whatever.
So I can't wait to talk to you on Thursday about the Bengals game, and we'll watch the end of it together.
I'm so excited for the Bengals game. So many people are like, I'm going to that game. And I'm like, well, I was going to, but my dad said he didn't want to go.
Uh, but I'm not sure. I might post something later this week if I decide to bet on it. 2.5 right now. I feel like that's a fair opening line for the Bengals, but I'm not touching it at the moment.
2.5. It's 6.5.
Uh, when I saw it, it was 2.5.
What do
I
you
could
think
be
about
wrong.
Lonzo on the Bulls? I feel like that's going to be interesting. I feel like that team's going to be a little more competitive this year.
Oh man, I'm not. I can't even start with NBA yet. I'm
Yeah,
getting.
it's really hard for me to think about that. I know that Devin Booker has COVID right now, so I hope he gets better. He missed his opening week stuff. Um,
I have, you know, for the It's in the Blood. I've got my motivation back. Today was media day for IU basketball, so I was kind of stoked on that as well. And I've been getting. I've gotten several requests for some more stuff for that. I just haven't sit at the computer and recorded.
Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely get together because there's probably some stuff that I'd be down to talk about, not IU related, but other stuff with football and just little things. But this football season's really got me jacked up, and I'm getting closer to 100% every day, or at least I'm pretty sure I am. And when I get back to 100%, I got a lot of days off coming up, because I'm gonna go back to working like 3 days a week and then having 4 days off. So I'm gonna have a lot of free time. And if I can get healthy and motivated, I feel like we can get a lot done, and you know
I'm
get some
well.
videos out to create a little controversy for our live streams.
Oh, I did get some compliments that I wanted to talk about. That I was complimented on the format of our stream and the way that the screen looks, even though we're only in 720. How well it comes across visually was really good, from somebody that I thought would, that I had stopped by and check it out, that does other type of streaming. It's not anybody that you're familiar with, but they said that it looks good. The format looks good. It looks just as good as anything else out there in sports talk right now. So I was pretty stoked about that. Um, I really think that we're gonna get in that mood where we start slamming out some content. I too have a lot of time off coming up after next Wednesday. My schedule lightens up immensely. I'm going to have free time, so I will be able to do NFL, NBA, and college basketball, and probably even some college football if you want to.
I'm gonna stick to just being a viewer. Um, there are gonna be a little bit I might want to dabble in, but I don't feel confident talking as like I do with the NFL about college football, because I feel like college football isn't real, man. I was going through Friday night all of the games and looking at the point spread for these college football games. One of the point spread was 48. Literally, that's over unders for most football games. The point spread was 48. And I was like, college football's not real. Like, you can't just be like, yeah, they're gonna win by 32 points, and then and then they end up winning by 60. Like, I watched a college football game last year. It was Clemson. It was Trevor Lawrence. I get it, but they won 70-7. Like, no, this isn't Madden. Like,
And speaking of college football, just for those, Ohio State's not going to be the juggernaut in the Big Ten this year. It's going to either be probably Penn State or Iowa.
Iowa,
It's
yeah.
nice to see somebody else other than Ohio State that's going to compete for going to the playoff. Alabama's Alabama, but Florida and Georgia are hot on their heels. I'm excited to watch that. Notre Dame is playing some good football for a change, and it's nice to see them kind of back in that conversation. They should be top dogs in the ACC, but I could go into college football because I I don't know how I.
If you want to do college football, I will do research and I will be your partner. I will not be a front runner in that conversation because, like I said, I
It's
don't feel confident, and people are way more aggressive in college football than they are in the NFL, and I do not feel like getting
yeah,
attacked
you know,
based on not knowing.
I just
Just
I
like
just
basketball, college basketball, that's another one that I don't feel comfortable speaking on my own about because I do not want to get beat up.
oh I
I don't
love
want. I don't
arguing.
want to get bullied on the internet. Okay.
I love arguing college basketball. That's my whole life has been based around, athletics. That's what I was brought up into, and since I did not perform well enough to be a superstar, I actually just learned all the games because I had coaching in my family tree. My stepdad was a coach, and that's how I learned everything. Yeah, heck
Honestly,
yeah.
I it took me until this year to feel comfortable talking about baseball. Like it took me until now to feel like I was knowledgeable enough to have a legitimate conversation. It's going to take me a while if I want to add NCAA football or basketball to my vocabulary. Like I have been in NFL my whole life. I have finally, after 25 years, picked up enough to do MLB, and I'm getting the edge on the NBA. Just the edge. I'm not going to go much further than that, but I've got enough to carry a small, tiny
Yeah,
contribution.
but the thing of it is that, truth be told, the bread and butter is going to be the NFL. Our one-off videos can be about anything because it's all sports related, but our bread and butter is going to be the NFL because I really think that and I'm not. This isn't to sound arrogant at all. I think we have a lot more extensive knowledge about how the game is played overall than just as much as some of the commentators out there do, because I listen to them and they're wrong all the time. I feel like we do a pretty good job of
I
breaking
feel like
stuff down.
ESPN is always wrong. That's
But
just my personal opinion. But I know you've got to run, so I'm comfortable with wrapping it up because everybody that was in here, I had a really good time talking with you guys. I know it was mostly a lot of you listening to us go on, but your contribution is much appreciated, and we love having you here. Um, Thursday Night Football kicks off in about half an hour, 45 minutes. Make sure you tune in to ESPN2 so you can listen to Peyton and Eli. Um, I just look forward to Mondays now because of that. And then last week, Amanda told us they signed a contract to do that for the next 4 years. The first week I was not too stoked about it because I was like, man, I really want to watch this football game, and they're talking about what they were doing as teenagers. But then it got better and better, and now I look forward to it every week. And so I'm really excited to watch some Peyton and Eli. They're hilarious. They're very knowledgeable about the game, and they bring great guests on. Watching my idols, Peyton and Pat McAfee, sit there and talk about their casino trip, McAfee's rookie year. Uh, I don't know. It was just great. It was pure amazing. And so, I can't wait to see everybody on there today. Uh, but we will definitely be back Thursday uh, around the fourth quarter of the Bengals game. It's going to be a lot harder to pay attention with that game on, especially if it's a close one. But we're going to be in here chatting through the end of the game, and then we're going to go through and discuss all of it and preview Sunday night. Um, all of the people on the Facebook side, if you're still here, thank you guys for stopping by too. I know it's a little weird for me having the Facebook and YouTube chat together. It's almost a little confusing. Um, okay, cool. I'll check that out in a minute, Amanda. But yeah. Thank you everybody that stopped by. If you're new here, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and definitely hit the little bell that is beside the subscribe button so you get notified anytime we drop anything, because I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of content in the near future. And yeah, I can't wait to see what you guys think about it. Also, if you're still in here on the YouTube side, because I did not post it on Facebook, I pinned a comment at the top of the chat. It is the latest full-length video on Card Sharks. It's a 2020 Panini's Contenders box. There's some pretty cool cards in there, and I just want everyone to, if they have the time, to go check it out. Drop a like and drop a comment in there and tell us what you think about it, because it was our first time opening. Shelby actually opened that box, but it was the first look at those kind of cards. We didn't watch any videos going into that, but we want to know what you think. And Dad's really got to go. So what you got?
249 subscribers. It's been a tough haul right now. It's slowed down a little bit, but hey, maybe recommend it to a friend, because we friends of friends have come in here and had a really good time, and that's how we grow. So if you don't mind, share us out on your social media. Give us a little bit of love there, because I really believe that this can be something special.
Oh yeah, and our email is in our about section on the YouTube page. And if anybody wants us to give them a shout out, or have anything they want to talk to us about or want us to talk about, shoot us an email and one of us will definitely get you back. There it is right there. Yeah, for sure, because we love all the input we get. We've only had like one or two negative attacking, but everybody else has been great. So we would love to hear anything you have to say. So just let us know. And unless something happens between now and Thursday, we will see everyone Thursday night. Brewers, thanks for Jeff. Thanks for stopping in. I know you were just lurking a bit, but I appreciate it.
Go Brewers tonight.
Yeah, go Brewers. The Reds had a big win today, which was nice seeing that rookie guy pitch. But It's the first baseball game I've watched in over a month. All right, we're wrapping this thing up, and I will see everybody on Thursday. I will see you later. Let's watch some football.
Yeah, we're out.